How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show that's usually about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes, but we are having a Christmas special. Woo! I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am Tim Wagner, bringing the hose. Oh, man. Yeah.
Check in, Tim. Check in. How's that beer advent calendar going?
Good, man. I've been sampling. There's been like, I know some people are like, you don't dump out beer. No, I paid for it. I do what I want to do with it. There's 2 beers that I dumped in the drain because I'm not a fan of the super hoppy stuff.
Right.
And that's just torture. Dumping out like a light beer, like a Coors or whatever, I get it. There's no reason to be doing that stuff.
Right.
But when you get a beer and it's so bitter, you're just like, I'm not. They're tall boys too. They're 16 ounces.
Right.
I'm not forcing myself to drink this whole 16 ounces. So there's been a couple of them where I was just like, I didn't really want this that bad anyways tonight. So it's like, then just gone. Because some of them are a little bit harsh, but I'm 3 days behind. So this is the 13th.
Oh, okay.
And this is probably my favorite one. I just cracked it open and I'm really enjoying this.
Nice. Can you read it, or is it just all in German?
It is 100% German. I was going to say, if you want to get this beer, it's a Homat Weissen beer. And it's also says Gerbraut mit Rosshafen aus Bayern, whatever that means. And it says
Whatever
PD on it. I don't know if that's the manufacturer. I don't know if that's the name. Maybe. No, I'm not even gonna. No, that one's WENINGER, and I'm not gonna try. I could mess that one up pretty bad, and I'm not gonna even give that one an attempt.
We're just gonna let that one slide.
Yeah, there's too many N's
it.
and I's and GRs. So it's good.
It's delicious. It's a silver can with the green highlights.
Yeah,
there we go.
But I got 3 of them here. They all look very different, and I'll be cracking them as we go along in the pod because I'm going to drink all 3 of these right now because I got to catch up because the ones from the day,
right. Yeah.
And I got another one to pop out each morning.
Yeah,
I do it like a normal advent calendar. I open the door, I see what it is, and then I put it in the fridge so it's cold when I get home.
nice.
Yeah, that's I thought
like
it made
that.
sense, right? Let's see what we get, and then got something to look forward to for later. It's not like my son where I get to eat a candy in the morning, you know.
Right,
I can't
right
crack
away,
these
you're
things
just
right away. So, when I used to do the car sales thing, I think if I had the advent calendar back then, I'd be like, whatever. We're drinking it right now.
I don't know. I just have to drive to work. I'll be fine.
Yeah, 1 beer. The cop's going to pull me over and just be like, have you been drinking? Just 1 beer. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Only 1, bro. Only 1.
Advent calendar. Cop's going to be like, all right, proceed.
Yeah. He's like,
I see you're dressed for work. On your way, sir.
I can't tell you not to join in the festivities. Not trying to ruin your Christmas here. On your way.
Oh, yes. Well, if you didn't know, this is usually the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. We are a fishing podcast primarily over here on the Real AF TV channel. I mean, that's everywhere, right? We just call it a channel, the podcast feed channel, whatever. But we're on YouTube, we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify. Leave us a review on Spotify if you can. That's in the app only, from what I understand. Hey, we're on Pandora now. That's cool.
Yep.
And go to realaf.tv. That's the website, realaf.tv. Remember, Real Like Fish and Real. Leave some feedback by going to realaf.tv/contact. We read those things. I don't want to make this about that, though, because we are having a holiday special. But, Tim?
Yeah.
No stopping that fishing news, that quick fishing news. Ooh. This is, if you're new to the podcast, by the way, share this with somebody. That'd be great. And also comment who shared it with you. Anyways, let's get into the fishing news, Tim. Ready?
Yeah. Yep.
Got to make it ice fishing news. Am I right?
Right. Yep.
It's that time of year.
We are there. we've been getting dumped on with the snow. So certain lakes is like nightmare to try to walk out there right now.
Yeah.
But for sure, we are there. I'm seeing ice fishing happening.
Yeah,
I
me
just
too.
haven't had a chance to get out there.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like ice
Wait.
fishing is happening in Minnesota. There's no doubt
Ice
about that.
fishing is happening. What ice fishing news do you have for us today?
All right. Our friends over at Outdoor News, and I say our friends, we have no idea who they are, but hey, hit us up. We'd love
Best
to talk
friends,
to you, but
best friends.
we're just saying we're friends. Like Outdoor News has been in mine and Tim's life since we've been able to walk into a bait shop.
Oh hell yeah!
Right?
The free outdoor news at the state fair is like the best part about going to the state fair. They have
yeah, dude.
that normally
hell yeah.
costs like $4, and they're just like, you have it free because you came to the state fair. And I say,
Yeah.
thank you, outdoor news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here it is, Outdoor News, November 28th. It's a cold November day in northern
Ooh.
Minnesota. It wasn't that cold. I mean, if you remember the weather around Thanksgiving, like we had just decent, normal weather. But the crazy thing is, and we've talked about Upper Red Lake before, and this is where the news is from. Upper Red Lake, big ice fishing lake up here in the north of the north. And it was November 28th, 7 inches of ice. It's pretty good. People walking out on the ice at that point. Why not? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in Upper Red Lake, 7 inches of ice. The wind shifts.
Yeah.
There's 200 people roughly out on the ice. And resort operator up there. And I'm not going to name the resort or the guy or anything like that. Like if you go to YouTube and you see in the comments there or the description of the video, I've left a link to this so you can go find the person's name and stuff like that. I just don't want to out right here. I just didn't want to do that because it was very cool to see. The resort's open for ice fishing. And he was like, well, people think it's just a cash grab, but you don't understand that we're doing a lot of monitoring on the ice. Like we're up here. So we're watching the ice because then you can just come to our resort and use our parking lot and use our lake access for a small fee. And we're monitoring the safety of the ice. And this guy was like, well, thankfully I was there. I noticed that the ice started to drift away from shore.
Yeah.
With 200 people on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the ice fishing news. There were 200 people that were out on Upper Red Lake, and it broke away and started to drift away from shore. Just they were out on an ice drift.
Yeah. And there was a big old gap. It was like almost like a Z shape crack.
Yeah.
And
so you saw this.
And the one part separated less than the other part.
Yep.
And they were able to put like a section of dock
to
get people to walk across it because it was just open water. They had to like get them across it. And it was like, I don't know, 15 feet that they had to cross. So like
there were
nobody's going to be
bigger
able to
parts
jump
than that.
it.
They said that
the one gap
up
was
to
real
30
big.
yards.
Gosh dang, 30 yards is 90 feet.
90 feet, dude. That's a lot of open water. When it's cold, think about it. There's 7 inches of ice already on top of this water. And then 90 feet of open, cold water. Dude.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was, that water is like super cold too. Like you can fall in and get out, but you can't swim that shit.
But you can't swim 90
try.
feet.
Yeah. Anybody watch Titanic? That water wasn't frozen because it's salt water, but believe me, that water was cold and you can't swim that stuff. You freeze and then Rose lets you go and you sink to the bottom, and then girls in the movie theater behind you all go, no joke, and then you just go, it's a fucking movie, shut up. I didn't really yell at anybody, but that really happened.
I know. I could tell by the way you were telling. I know you didn't yell, but that really happened to you. That's so funny.
It's
But no, it's serious though. Like you can't get in that water. Your muscles seize up. One time I tried to swim.
You can't.
Early summer, I'll call it. I tried to swim in early summer to some friends had rented an island. Like they got an Airbnb on an island. And I
Yeah.
looked at that island and I'm like, well, there's no cell service up here. And that island's not too far away. I'm just
Yeah.
going to get in my swimsuit and I'm going to swim out there. And then I'm going to tell them to get the boat so we can get our shit out there. And I jumped in and I swam 10 yards and I turned around and I said, nope, I have
Nope.
trouble breathing.
Yeah, dude, that's the other thing. Like the breathing, like your lungs and everything too.
Yep.
If anybody's curious to see what it's like swimming in water that cold, like this stuff is just barely above freezing.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that's at the surface just under the ice is like the ice is getting thicker every day because that water is on like right there. It's cold
Right.
enough to freeze.
Yeah.
But go into your shower and turn it on as cold as it can. And then just try to breathe normal. And you'll be like,
right. It'll take your breath away. And think about it. That's
And
not
that's like-
near, that's inside your 70 some degree house.
that's
you know?
inside your 70 some degree house, and that water is probably like 40 something degrees. And the water you're falling into is
Or
like
more.
35 to 33, somewhere in there. Like
Right.
that surface water is just below the freezing water.
Yeah.
So it's right in that realm. And
Right.
it's cold as shit.
Right. So
And-
be
and yeah.
safe on that ice for reals. Like they had, even though everything was super chill, that's a quote from the article. Everything was chill, zero panic. Some people even asked if they could just stay out there and catch their limit.
Right, yeah, because it's such a big chunk of ice, you don't really have to be worried. If that piece started breaking up, it's a big deal. Or if the ice started moving fast enough that it was like ramming into the other piece.
Right.
But when it just shifts a little bit, it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. No, the resort owner, like he literally said that. He was like, I don't know. Some people were just like, I don't know, how bad is it? You got out here. And basically saying like, so you've made a bridge. Is it cool?
Right.
Which is just gnarly. Those northern people are just gnarly like
Yeah.
that.
You're like looking at the sun and stuff, and we're like, oh shit, we're like hitting, guys, the sun's about to go down. We're looking at like peak fishing times. You think that bridge is going to hold for a while, you think? Maybe? Because I mean, like, it'd be a shame to get off the ice now.
Right. Meanwhile, on shore, the DNR, couple different fire departments, police,
Oh,
ambulance.
for real?
Yeah, dude. They had the list of people. So if you just go over to, if you're listening to some podcast, go over to YouTube and follow the link. You'll see they had the list. Like it was ambulances and fire and DNR and all this. And it was like, they were ready because 200 people, it's no joke. 90 yards, 90 feet, is no joke. But, there was a small enough spot where at this particular spot, they could throw down a bridge. And the resort, that's part of the resorts being ready too. The resorts were ready. They have equipment for this, to make the bridge. They're just like, yeah, we have enough space to, to close that gap.
I suppose for like a PR thing, even, they're just like, as soon as they hear 200 people are stranded, they're like, oh, yeah, get them all out there. Like, we're probably not going to need any of this stuff, but if one person falls in the water and they're too stupid to get out or nobody else helps them or whatever, and then it makes it to the news that we didn't have an ambulance there even after knowing.
Oh, right. That the possibility. Like, yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a super liability thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And in that neck of the woods anyways, it's probably all people that these guys know.
Yeah, he's like, hold on, I'm going to call Ted. Ted is always on.
Right.
I don't know what accent that was.
Yeah. Like when I go out to my brother-in-law's place, he's a police officer. Yep. Like all the friends in that town are firefighters.
Oh, sure.
Like, so when we go out there, it's all I hang out with is like
firefighters and policemen.
A cop and a firefighter, like a bunch of firefighters. I don't know if there's any. Right. No, there's sometimes there's multiple police officers. More often than not, it's like my brother-in-law who's a police officer, and then a bunch of firefighters.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like they all know each other.
Sure.
And they're the ones that you'd see out fishing. So they'd just be like, let's going on, guys? Everybody safe? Yeah, it's fine.
We're fine.
You know, that kind of deal. They biting? Yeah. You guys sure you want to come in? even the firefighters are like, I mean,
the firefighters are out there. It's like, yeah, I mean, they're biting, and we have a bridge, so
right.
I mean, if you want to catch your limit, it's cool.
Yeah. Or even the firefighters are just like, anybody got an extra rod? Like, I mean, technically, I'm helping here. I'm making sure the situation is secure.
Oh, but I could go for some fresh dinner tonight.
I could definitely, go for a couple. Let's make it happen,
All
guys.
right. Let's get into some Christmas stuff, Tim. The fishing news, that was good fishing news. And I just want to be clear. We'll do more ice fishing, no doubt. We always do during the winter. But
for sure.
I just felt like that was a really good article to be like, hey, be safe, like the ice ain't that thick yet, but like it's safe in a lot of places. Just be good about it.
Yeah, always be safe. And know too, like I was just thinking about this the other day. I don't know, because I know that snow like evenly disperses, so the weight as a whole is like really spread out. But here in my neck of the woods, over the past 2 days, we have got like 10 inches of wet, heavy snow.
Yeah.
So I was like, if you're on a lake that's only got like 4 or 5 inches on it,
right,
and you have thousands of pounds, like just in your area that you're standing, it's right. It's just like, that's got to add to it, right? I don't know.
Maybe that even helps. Plus, it's an insulator.
I don't know.
Like,
right. So
the snow doesn't actually help the ice. It's bad for the ice.
No, it is bad for the ice. Yeah. And it's been like halfway rain in some spots. So it might be kind of weird. So
right.
Just be safe. I'm a bigger dude too. So it's like when people are like, oh, you need like 2 to 4 inches to get out there and like walk on as a person. And I'm like, yeah, but like I was driving past lakes. I'm a delivery driver. I'm driving past lakes where 3/4 of that lake was frozen for like 2 weeks. And that other quarter was open. So it's like now, even if it's fully frozen, I would assume that 1/4 has to have far less ice than the rest of it, Right. I mean, I would assume that it would catch up, but you drill a hole on one side of the lake and it says 5 inches, and you drill a hole on the other side of that lake where it just closed off not that long ago, and now you have all this thick, heavy, wet snow on top of it.
Right.
Yeah. We had a couple of cold days and stuff, but I don't really mess with it. I like to wait until you're like at the ATV snowmobile stage.
Yeah.
Because I'm a bigger dude anyways. Because I'm just like, I don't know. I think that those numbers are for, people that are not the size of a snowmobile. And I'm kind of the size of a snowmobile. So.
All right. Okay. Let's get into let's start the Christmas special, Tim. Okay. Here's the thing. I got a few points on here. I got a few. But we're going to kick it off with just some random Christmas history. I know last year we kept it real fishy. We did gift opening and all this stuff. It was great. It was really fun. It was fun to make a fishy Christmas special. We'll do that again next year.
Fishy.
Or, maybe next year. We'll see.
Maybe we'll
see how planning
in a couple of weeks. We'll do whatever we want. And you won't tell us different.
That's right. Unless you join us on patreon.com and then you want to talk about it. Maybe we'll change things up. Hey, maybe, but probably not. We want to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And we hope you're along for the ride. Anyways, here we go. I got 3 fun Christmas things. History. Here we go. Not a surprise here. If you've ever been on the ride with Uncle Josh, he's going to bring you some history lessons.
Dude, Uncle Josh, we're back into the fish. Did you know that Uncle Josh is a fishing product?
Oh, shit. No, I did not.
They have like you ever heard of a jigging pig?
No, that's a great name though.
Yeah, the jigging pig. So they have like the pork trailers for a jig. They're like older school. They're like a
Okay.
thick piece of like actual like pork. I don't know if it's the skin or what the hell it's made out of.
Okay.
And then it has like little flange tails. And then you put
What?
that on the hook of like the jig, and it gives that like scent and flavor,
Yeah.
and it actually adds some stuff.
No
But it's
kidding.
like Uncle Josh is the brand that makes a lot of that old school.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. No, I just say that I just say Uncle Josh because I just like I've always looked at myself as like an uncle person, even though I'm a dad. And it's just like, Uncle Josh is bringing the beers and the history lessons as a Christmas party.
Everybody got around, could just getting their story about Jiggy Pig.
Yes. Genuine questions I had about Christmas traditions this year. I'm bringing them to the table. A poinsettia or poinsettia. How do you say it, Tim?
Poinsettia.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
I've heard
Poinsettia.
it said the other word, or the other way. But
And
it's just
immediately
like,
you go, "What the fuck? Who says it like that?"
yeah, it's just like, are we from England?
So we have a big ass poinsettia in the lobby at work, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a thing. I forget about that." And then we were watching The Grinch, and there he is. He's plucking the
Plucking.
plucking the red stuff off, and I'm going, "Yeah, what is the deal with that?" Well, here we go. Crazy
Yep.
enough, well, we'll get into that later. This one seems fairly well documented. Oh, tell me about that beer. What is
Oh,
that?
it's Feintes Bayerisches Beer.
Oh yeah, of course.
This one's a Cancel Helles Lager. It has an owl on it. It says seat 1809, and it's blue, light blue.
I know. I saw that color and it caught my eye.
So that's the second one. And when I'm done with this next can is something else, buddy. It is different looking.
Well, I can't wait. That is a great suspense. Let's talk about poinsettias, dude.
Let's do it.
So here's the story about poinsettias. They're native to Mexico and Central America, so they're south of us.
Oh.
And they bloom during this time of year. So like that's actually a thing. Is like they pop up around Christmas.
That's what I always kind of assumed. I didn't know if there was any more to the story, but I was just like, it's just like a flower you have that still exists this time of year.
It still exists this time of year. Yeah, so like warmer, wetter climates, kind of rocky, wooded area. You're like, okay, I can kind of picture this. It's like probably on like the side of a cliff or something, like mountains, woods button up to mountains or something like that. You're kind of like, you can picture it, right? You ever been to Colorado? You're probably like, if this was warmer, probably be in that area. Here's the thing. They're not flowers though, Tim.
No, I don't
know.
I didn't know what they were. Like when you're saying it now, trying to picture them in the wild. I can't. I've only seen them in flower pots at like this time of year. You see them everywhere. I'm trying to think like, where would I see them? I have no idea.
I know. Like even on nature like shows, right? Like you've never seen somebody just like, because nobody from North America or England goes and fucking films a show in Mexico during Christmas.
Right.
If they do, they're faking it.
Yeah. Now we know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because nobody out in the woods during like you would think they would bring this up. I've never seen one in the wild for sure, because here's two things. Is they're not flowers. They're called bracts. 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 They're not even petals. They're not petals. They're not leaves. They're leaf-like, but they're officially called a bract. Have you ever heard that term?
No.
Again,
Like as soon as you said that they're not flowers, I was like, okay. Like I always assumed they were like a giant flower, but as soon as you said they weren't flowers, I said to myself, so maybe they're like large petaled ferns.
And you know what?
But now
Maybe
I
that's
don't.
true. I don't know what a fern. I think a fern must have a leaf, but like,
I think the only reason I'm associating the two is the color. They're
yeah,
both red,
right.
and that's as far as my brain is just like hey, same color.
Yeah, but if you think about, well, no, yeah. Okay, because I was like, no, the leaves are kind of the same, but no, they're not, because a fern has a stem and they come off the sides of, like, a stem up the center
Right.
and then a left and a right leaf on a fern.
Yeah.
But a poinsettia it blooms around the center like a flower.
I was gonna say it's built like a flower because it's got that thing in the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
And also, this is how I know we've never seen them in the wild. They can grow up to 10 feet in the warmer areas. 10 feet tall, dude. They are chopped down to these tiny little things that we're used to seeing in a pot.
Are they
sitting on a table?
Are they chopping off just the top then?
They have to be taking them off in chunks. I don't know how though. I did not find that.
Now I gotta see. Like, what the heck? I don't even know how to say it.
So they're normally 3 feet. Like that's their average.
Poinsettia.
Okay, you're gonna ask Google.
Oh,
it
says point setup.
Point setup.
Like I say,
too much basketball.
Poinsettia. No, it's giving me 2 words. I don't know how to spell it, so I was like, "Oh, save me, Google."
I can tell you, it's POIN. Poin. SETTIA.
Oh, that's my problem. I was putting the T on there, and Google's just like, you're saying it.
People are pronouncing the IA poinsettia. And you just say poinsettia, like, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, their most common is 3 feet tall. Like, that's normally, but they can grow up to 10 feet in the warmer areas. And I was like, oh my God, there is definitely no way I've seen one of these in the wild. This is such a weird thing.
Dude.
What's up?
There's multiple kinds. Oh my God, damn. That's not what we were trying to look at all, but that thing was amazing looking.
I did read that there were multiple
trees.
Kinds. They're trees? Yeah, well, I mean, a 10-foot fucking tall.
Oh, I don't think that's the right thing. It's just close. It says like poinsettia.
Oh, yeah, it's probably not the same thing then.
No, Google's failing me.
So, anyways, they can grow up to 10 feet. It's not super common. It definitely has to be in the warmer areas. Most common is 3 feet. So they are kind of just a bush, which isn't far off from what we see, sitting on the tabletop.
Yeah.
Just hanging out during Christmas. So they bloom, and bloom is in quotes because they don't bloom really, right? With the whole, it's kind of weird. I didn't really understand, but bloom was in quotes because it's not a flower. So it doesn't.
Right.
Yes, that's the best way to put it, right? So
yeah,
in Mexico, poinsettias are called Flor de Noches Bueno. Oh, man, I practiced that and I still...
Dude, it sounded good at first.
Flor de Noche Bueno, which is... and I'm sorry for anybody all you that speak Spanish out there, please just give me positive comments in the YouTube video to encourage me getting better at Spanish. It means the Christmas Eve flower.
Oh.
Noche Bueno is buena. I kept saying Noche Buena is Christmas Eve.
Oh,
so it's flower of Christmas Eve. Like that's what it means. It means the Christmas Eve flower. So there you go.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know if there's multiple that grow next to each other, but it looks like it's just a giant bush. Like there's a whole bunch of them. So they must be able to like cut off these branches and like stick them in a pot.
Yeah.
And like one big plant bush thing like must have a bunch of different poinsettia bush high res stock photography. Oh, I don't need to read the whole thing, I suppose. But
Yeah.
it says bush, so it's literally saying a bush, and they do look pretty big. But it looks like the version that we get, I would assume one bush is going to be able to produce like, I don't know, 50 to 100 of what we see in the stores.
Holy crap, dude.
Yeah,
Really?
dude. Yeah, it looks pretty big, like large bush.
Wow.
Looks like it'd be pretty dope to have, like if you lived in an area that could support that.
Yeah.
Now I feel like maybe I have seen them.
Really?
And I just didn't know that that's what I was looking at because there were so many of them. It doesn't like, you don't put two and two together that it's not. Like,
that's what I was going to say. Like your memory just doesn't connect the dots because it's also sectioned off to just this time of year, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and plus it's like the whole plant itself is like green and then just the tips all over the place are the poinsettias.
Oh.
So I feel like we may have even seen them and just been like, that's crazy. Those look like poinsettias. And then like later on you figure out those are poinsettias. They just cut them down and each one of the tips is a whole plant like where we live.
Right.
And they're able to sell them for stupid amounts of money. They're just like that one
I've never
plant.
Even seen the price on them. That's a funny thing.
I spent $30 on that one plant. And that one plant makes me, because you're just cutting the tips off.
Right.
That one plant, all I'm doing is pruning the plant, which I should be doing every year anyways.
Right.
And I'm making like $700 on each one of these bushes. That's nuts.
You're like, sweet.
Yeah, they're probably not seeing that much money though, because they're really selling them to like Walmart. Well, Walmart's just like huge markup on everything.
Right. Yep. Probably.
Yeah, that's gnarly. I had no idea.
Yeah. Pretty sweet, huh?
It is very.
Yeah. I'm glad you looked it up to just be like, to add that context of like, I mean, at 10 feet tall, they can't be that. If you found one that's 10 foot tall, it can't be just covered in red bracts.
Yeah.
You can.
Nope, the bracts. Yeah, they do look like leaves.
They do.
So that's weird that they're called something different.
Yeah, little botany thrown in here. You didn't think you were going to get that, did you? But botany, it's funny because we talk how much fishing has to do with plant life is pretty crazy. Like that's definitely going to happen in later podcasts. We're going to start getting into some of this plant life like meanings and thought. There will be more of that. It's just funny to think about it right now in the moment while we're recording this of like, oh yeah, we haven't had a lot of, and we did a whole thing. We did an entire podcast on oh my God, it's escaping me. I'm just going to let it go right now. But there's a whole
I know what you're talking about.
Weed in Texas that we did an entire podcast on.
Yep. It's escaping me too because my brain just keeps going, it's not milfoil. I'm like, I know, it's the other thing. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I know exactly.
Either way, we did a whole podcast on a weed already because it's such a big deal and it'll be going. So here's all the history tying it, like not only in Mexico does it already mean, Christmas Eve flower. Back to the growing thing you were just talking about, Tim. What a bummer.
Yeah.
Here's a bummer.
What?
They're pretty resource heavy. And it's like something that we keep around for like 3 weeks and then typically throw in the garbage. And they suck up like a lot of water and energy and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like, oh, bummer. It's not that ecological to be raising these plants. But you can keep them around. It's possible. I guess there's some weird pattern you have to get into, though. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Just like a big bush. That's a whole line of them.
That's just a row of poinsettias. So if you're on YouTube, you're seeing this. But if you're on the podcast, like you're just going to have to Google it. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that looks like what
those only look
harvested.
Like they're 4 or 5 feet tall. There was other pictures that were definitely big old bushes.
Yeah. 3 feet's common. So that was definitely the common thing. So here we go. We'll wrap up the poinsettia with how did it become an American Christmas tradition? Yeah. We already got that in Spanish. They're, called the Christmas Eve flower. 1828, an American minister. Tim, what's a minister? Do you know?
I don't. Ministers they're like people that preach the sermon. They're the ones that like are out there preaching the
like
word of Christ.
yeah, they're like the voice of the church.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
like so, the minister, I believe, is like a Lutheran deal.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like different terms for different religions and stuff. I grew up Catholic, and I don't think
So you're
there
okay.
was anything in ours that was called a minister.
Okay.
But I think there could be in like different versions of Catholicism.
Yeah.
Like we were talking before this, Ari Shafir's
Christianity.
special Jew. He's like,
right.
Like your crazy 28 flavors of Christ or whatever.
right.
It's like, it's a true statement. There's so many different like slight variations of versions. And I know the minister is the person that's like preaching, but I don't know, like in when I grew up, it was called a priest. And I don't know if a priest and a minister can be the same thing, or if the minister is somebody completely different or what. But I know a minister is the person preaching the word. I just don't know
in what degree or whatever you want to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. Thank you, because I have no idea. The American minister in 1828, an American minister to Mexico. All right. Joel Poinsett. That's his name. Joel Poinsett. Saw this flower and was like, it's dope. Let's bring it back to America.
So is he the person that named it?
Yes.
So what did they call it before that?
I don't know.
Shitty even calling it that. Like, we're just like some guys like, that's a cool flower.
Yep.
It's coming back to, well, I suppose it'd be like the Spanish word that you said.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is
that's
like
what they call it. Yeah.
Should we call it a no? Because it's just flor de, so it's flower of Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling it from now on. Done.
The Christmas Eve flower, dude.
You want to get it? No, that's the flower of Christmas Eve. Yeah, and we will get one. We will.
It's not a poinsettia.
Yeah, I'm not calling it this guy who made it his last name. That's so full of himself. I found this flower in Mexico. I brought it back here. I named it after myself. Merry fucking Christmas.
Right, exactly. Because that is pretty much how it took off. In 1870, it says that New York basically started selling them. So it was like he brought it back in 1828-ish, 1830s. He brought it back to America in the 1830s, 1870s. It's made its way to New York, and the next thing, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
The poinsettia's born.
Bada bing, bada boom. The poinsettia. Yeah, it's a Christmas flower. Whatever.
I'm walking here.
What are you going to call it? Obviously, it's a poinsettia. My name's Poinsettia. It's a family flower. Where'd you get it from? Mexico. Stupid.
Gabagoo. You fucking gabagoo. You can't end a sentence in gabagoo. It's grammatically incorrect.
Just fucking Carl. That's exactly the guy who brought it back.
Okay, Tim.
Just jerking off to the thought. That internet picture I just showed. You just like,
Rose.
Oh my God.
Poinsettias.
I bought this plant. It's costing me $30. I got these seeds. I'm going to be planting these shit. People don't understand. They never seen this shit before. I'm growing up. Each one of the tips I can sell for $30. This plant is going to be my retirement plan.
So good. All right, let's get into some northern stuff from the south to the north. Here we go. Yule log. I turn it on sometimes during the holidays. What about you?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that where like we open Christmas presents Christmas Eve, not Christmas morning like a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I will be the one or somebody else in the house will just be like, put on the Yule log. Like, throw that
Yeah.
thing on the background.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be playing.
While you open presents.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing to
dude,
distract
fucking
us.
dope.
Just a
Yeah.
thing in the background.
Yeah. Love it.
Yep. For sure, we put that on. It's so funny that somebody had the idea to just be like, might
Let's film a
work.
fireplace. Put some music over it.
Just, we don't have to pay any actors. Literally.
Yeah, dude. It's so good. It's just the producer throwing logs on every once in a while
Yeah, exactly.
for 4 hours. And you can loop it and no one will notice.
Yep. They're
the
literally just sitting there enjoying a fire like we are. Except for they're in the presence of a fire and
Of a
they're
real
making
fire.
money off of actually like recording it. They're just like,
Right.
Yeah. They probably love that time of year
Oh,
where they're
seriously.
just like, what's your gig tonight? I'm going to enjoy a fire. I'm just gonna
Wait, you're getting paid for that?
wine.
How'd you do that? Oh, I'm the Yule log
Yeah.
2022. You're like, holy shit, dude. Nice
I
gig.
came up with the idea. It's my bread and butter. I'm gonna call it my last name.
I'm gonna call it my last name.
Yeah.
Yule.
Yeah, Yule. My name is John Yule.
Well, I didn't find that out at all. But would you be surprised if I told you that it came from Norway?
No, that makes sense
A
because I don't know
bonfire,
a lot
right? From anywhere in Scandinavia. You're like, yeah, bonfire tradition from Scandinavia.
just like when
Of
you
course.
say it, like I don't know a lot about the Norway language,
Right.
Norwegian language, but when you say Yule, you're like, yeah. When you
Yeah.
say it like that,
Yeah.
when you talk like the Dudesons,
Yeah.
Hey, it's a Yule log. You're like, oh yeah,
Right. Yeah.
that was it.
Well, get
Nailed
the
it.
Yule goosey and go burn the Yule log.
They put another fire. Put another Yule log on the fire.
Yep. Exactly. You're
Gosh,
like,
dang it,
yeah.
what
Of
are
course
their
it came
names?
from-
I can't even think of it now.
What's that?
I can't even think of their names right now. I was gonna say one of their names, but I couldn't even think of them.
The Dudesons?
Brain fart, yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
because
man.
they just have super like Norwegian names too.
Yeah.
Where that's the name that you throw out. Hey,
Right.
Doozy, put another Yule log on the Yule. I don't even know. What did you say? A fire?
How do you say fire in Norwegian? I don't know.
I don't know.
But dude, okay. So of course, yeah. Norway's the birthplace of the Yule log. No surprise
Yeah.
there. This is the
Mhm.
best. So it's okay. I did find it out. It's not from a name. I did research this now. I forgot. Okay, it's not from a name. The Yule log does not come from a name, but it comes from the Norse word wheel.
You say wheel? Wheel? Wheel.
I have heard this word in my family before. We are from the Norse region.
Yeah.
My
Wheel.
one side of my family is very Finnish, like 100%
Okay.
Finnish to just my grandma. Like my grandma is 100% Finnish. Like
God
that's how
damn.
close they are. And I've heard the word wheel before.
Wheel.
What do you think that word means?
I'm gonna say wheel.
Wheel?
Wheel. Wheel.
It just means wheel.
You're just like pronouncing the H heavy, right?
HWEOL. Wheel.
Oh, the H is before the W. I did not see that coming.
Wheel.
And then the Englished it up and made like broke people's brains.
Yep.
We say it wheel. Well, okay. How do you spell it? HW? Nah, dude. No, we should spell it WH, right? But
Right.
you say wheel. Yeah, we'll say wheel too. We'll just put WH.
We're just gonna put
like,
W first.
I don't get it.
And of course, it's just making giant bonfires to bring back the sun to celebrate the winter solstice. Like that's what the
Oh.
Yule log is. It's just fucking sweet bonfire to celebrate how dark it is
Okay. All
and to
right,
bring
then.
back the sun.
That's All right. I feel like there's been all sorts of things pointing to this and stories that I've heard throughout my life that could have gave me hints or might
Yeah.
have just flat out even told me about this.
Right.
And I've just never paid enough attention, where they're just like, oh yeah, like there's in the cities, there's like this thing that they do. And I want to say it's like when it's getting closer to springtime,
Mm.
where
Mm-hmm.
they have like, there's these people and some of them dress up like the devil or whatever. And some of this is like, see, I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
even repeat the story, but then they're just
Right.
like, oh, and then they like chase him out of town. And I think that's like the
Yep.
summer gods like chasing away like the
Chasing
winter
away. Yeah,
gods
like
or
that's the
whatever.
spring solstice, I think, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I think
And it's
that
like,
might be.
okay, so I'm sure there's other stuff like that
Yeah.
that I've heard.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, it's always at one of those kind of deals where like you got some spiked hot cocoa and you're
Right.
just like, what's going on?
Right.
Crazy.
Something crazy. Let's burn stuff and drink this spiked
Yeah.
hot cocoa.
Did he say wheel?
Yeah, dude. That is why I wanted to bring this up, because I just didn't know how much of this northern exposure, there we go, there's an old 90s reference,
Yeah.
that you had, because I am realizing, like, as I research this Yule log, I'm like, oh my God, I had way more exposure to
Dude,
like the
yeah.
northern heritage than I thought I did, because I had no idea. Like, wheel is just like a normal thing in my vocabulary. Like, I've heard it my whole life. Like, it's like jokingly said, but now knowing that like it's a real thing, it was like a thing that the kids could just pick out of when the grandparents were yelling at each other in the language that they were taught by their parents.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's
whoa.
crazy. Yeah. And I'll go also saying, like, this is slightly off topic, but there's a good chance that I've been told this whole story like just 1 week ago.
Really?
And I just don't remember any of it because my brain sucks.
We're in
like,
that part of our lives now. We're
like
adults with full-time jobs and full-time children.
Right. Little
brains
behind
don't work anymore.
Right. Little behind the scenes for everybody here. Like, before the podcast was going on, we were trying to like nail down a time to start. And I was like, we got like a half-hour window, but I'm going to shoot for earlier so we can, knock this out and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we pushed it back like a half hour because I was like, oh, I had to run to the store or whatever.
Yeah.
And it took longer than I thought. Well, when I ran to the store, it was to buy some new pants for work because the old pants that I had a hole in the back on the leg. And I was like, Jesus, like that's been there. And I looked at them like this morning, I saw it and I was like, that's been like, I got to get new pants that I look terrible. And my wife is like, yeah, I told you about that. And I'm like, you did? And she's like multiple times. I'm like, what? We've talked about this hole in my pants multiple times. I'm like, well, that's embarrassing. Like I would, like, if I would have been aware of this,
right,
I would have definitely not wore these pants more times. Like, I look like an idiot. But also, apparently, I was aware of this.
Right.
I'm just not aware that I am aware. So
Right.
it's like, so now you're just like a wheel and Yule log, and I'm like, this is all crazy. And somebody in my family is listening to it all, and we just like, dude, we just talked about this. It's like, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. It's so good. Okay. Oh, also the sweet thing that I found out about this, when I was reading up on the Yule log, it just goes, it's an Iron Range tradition. Yeah.
Oh,
Minnesota, Iron Range.
yeah.
My whole family is from up in the Iron Range. So like, again.
Yeah, half of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole mom's side is up there too. They still live up there.
Yeah.
Like pretty close.
Right. Still in that Iron Range. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. I know what you're saying. Just up north there Yeah. So crazy. So it's like, it's an Iron Range tradition of just burning huge logs for the new year up in the Iron Range is when they said it was. But like, the Norwegian tradition is like for the winter solstice, and you make it, what it is. You just kind of adapt. Like that's what it is. And now it's been adapted for Christmas. Like
Right.
so good. Oh, also Tim, I want to know if you've ever heard of this before. We come from bonfire territory, as we already talked about. Oh, and also, hey, if you're listening to this somewhere outside of the north here, and this is all brand new to you, like you're not getting these familiar like on your head like me and Tim are, leave it in the comment of the YouTube video because I want to talk about this and be like, whoa, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
These are this is just the regionalities of the United States, right? Like we're
Right.
all immigrants. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
1600s, the Celtics would decorate logs with holly. Those are those little tiny red berries with the green leaves.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yep.
So they would decorate a log with holly, pine cones, and things of that nature. Those like evergreen sort of stuff, right? They would decorate a log, boof, light it on fire. That's back in the 1600s, dude. And that was a Yule log, so to say.
Just spend a bunch of time. Oh, I suppose. Yeah. That's what differentiates it.
Mm-hmm.
And all the kids are like really bringing their A game.
Yep.
Bro, you want to bring an embarrassing ass regular log to light on fire? Put some little red berries on that bitch and some pine cones.
Right.
I'm not showing up with your stupid regular log. You better make that thing look fancy before we burn it to the ground.
Exactly.
That's odd. That's cool though.
Isn't it?
It's cool.
Because it probably smelled fucking good too, right?
I bet. Yeah, that would probably be the main benefit, where they're just like, we put all this stuff on it and it's going to waft.
Right.
Yeah. Then you got like, oh man, just imagine too, like you got some Native American friends.
Yeah.
That are just like, I didn't really get what you guys were doing, but when you were like, we're going to burn some cool stuff, like I just glued all the stuff we put in the peace pipe on this, and they're just like, yo, Little Feather came to the Yule log burning last week, and that shit was off the chain, bro. I saw it was nuts. We lit that log on fire. I went to another dimension. Oh man, yeah, that would be cool. Like learning that's what happens in certain situations. They just like one of the people glued the wrong thing on there. Like, what is that plant? Like all those like little orange hairs coming off of it? That's gnarly. I know. I thought like maybe it would burn like different colors or whatever. Then they burn it. No, it doesn't smell. It kind of smells like a skunk too. That's weird, huh? That's weird, huh?
That's a weird party all of a sudden.
Is that a weird word? You ever said weird?
You else want a party?
Weird. That's a weird word, right? Weird.
Wheel.
Why is it H in front of the W? Oh man.
You know what, Tim? I'm looking at the notes and I'm like, okay, ready to move to the next thing. No. Speaking of what we were just implying, a Yule log is a dessert now? Have you ever fucking heard of this thing?
I've seen, like, when you say that, I've seen, like, cakes that are shaped like a log.
Okay. At Christmas.
And maybe that's what it is?
Christmas thing? As a Christmas thing, I've seen a rolled up cake for sure, but like...
Right. No, that's the only thing. I've never heard of a Yule log as a dessert.
Yeah. I don't know.
That sounds weird.
Yep. You know what, listeners, viewers? If that's a thing that you've heard of, please leave it in the comments. Because again, we up here think of a Yule log as lighting shit on fire. Right. I'd love to hear about your dessert because I have no fucking clue what that meant. And I just moved on because there was no fucking context. They're just like, well, now it's a rolled up cake. And I'm like, what the fuck? All the stuff you were talking about lighting shit on fire, I was like, sounds right. Feels familiar. And then all of a sudden they were just like, but now it's a dessert. That's my chocolate. And I'm like, what?
Just like, no, it is not. You gotta
Okay.
call that something different, I think.
Yeah.
And then like Little Debbie's is like,
You try.
no,
I'll sue you
it
guys.
100% sells because of the name. If we called it like cake roll up, it wouldn't. Oh, they already have that. They call it Swiss cake rolls. It's a U-log. It's something different. We put the chocolate on the inside.
All right, Tim. Candy canes. We're gonna get
Ooh.
into a divisive situation. Okay, so this is really funny. I read a couple things, and this goes back to our first one with the poinsettia, and it was like a couple articles I read were like, well, I mean, that's maybe not that true. The Christians like to really kind of take things around Christmas and say that they started it and that they did it. And I'm like, yeah, Christmas, yeah, that all checks out. Okay. And so like I read one site that was like, hey, this is really well documented. And then I read a few other sites that were like, well, maybe not so much. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Internet being the internet.
Right.
Let's fucking blow all that aside. I'm just putting it out there as like, okay, at me at the fucking comments, whatever.
Right.
Don't be a douche. It's a Christmas special. I'm not a big fan of candy canes, Tim. I'm not a big fan of the peppermint candy canes. Are you?
Right. No. The peppermint candy canes are like, no, especially when there's other options out there.
Now, there are so many options. Dude, I found macaroni and cheese flavored candy canes this year. I didn't buy them.
Dude.
I saw them. They're a real thing.
What?
Yeah, I think they're Jelly Belly. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it,
that makes sense.
They do that, right?
Jelly Belly does do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's weird. Did you see? I think I sent it to you. Where like this is again slightly off topic, but there was that Asian lady that went to the Asian market.
Yes, I saw that.
And grabbed that Squirtle water.
Right. Yes.
And she thought it was sparkling water. And then she zooms in and it says that it's carbonated cheese water.
Cheese flavored carbonated water.
Oh, that sounds so gross. And she cracked it open and she said it's foot water. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's foot water.
It's the foot water from those spas that have the little fish in there that eat your feet.
Oh, dude, that's exactly what it is.
And then they just drain that water into a Squirtle can.
They strain it and then put some bubbles in it. Carbonate it. There you go. Eat your fucking cheesy feet water. Yeah, no, but I don't do the regular candy cane. Peppermint, that's fine. It on some circumstances, like a peppermint candy is okay by itself, but it's a little bit strong. But those I think it's like Bob's Sweet Mints or whatever.
Okay.
Those kind of like they're kind of like a chalky textured.
Oh yeah, the like soft peppermints is what I always called them.
Those are dope. I like those because they're sweet. They're sugary still.
Yeah,
the
and
like
they're
regular
soft,
candy
and
canes that are just
like it doesn't allow for the flavor to be so strong. I think I don't know.
Right.
But
like
something about that chalky texture like coats your tongue or something. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. I don't know exactly what it is, but I like those. But like regular candy canes. Yeah. Not so much. Yeah, but all the other flavors, I think we got some like Spree ones on the Christmas tree right now.
Yeah. Spree, freaking Sour Patch Kids.
yeah. All that different stuff. Yeah. Twizzlers. I know I think Starburst has some.
Yep.
Yeah. Like those are the kinds I like. The bright colored fruit flavored ones.
Yeah. I like the OG fruit flavored ones where they're like the blue and the red and the yellow and they're the striped. Like it looks old school colored striped.
Are you talking like where they're still like white and blue?
I mean,
or like two colors, like because a lot of them nowadays are like rainbow, where there's like a bunch of different colors.
Right. No, I'm talking when you see these, you just like they scream like 90s color. They're weird. Okay. They're like primarily like a dark blue with like a red stripe and a yellow stripe, and there's some white. I think that still shows through. I think they're cherry flavored. I don't know. Anyways, think about this. It's 1870. We're in Cologne, Germany. There's a choir master at a cathedral. I don't know what a cathedral is. Tim, what's a cathedral?
It's just like a church.
It's just a church. Okay. So there's a
Yeah.
choir master at a cathedral. Christmas mass is going on forever. These kids can't sit still, can't pay attention. So he
Yeah.
goes to he goes to a local candy maker. He goes, "Hey, you know those sugar sticks that you make? Can you just curve them into shepherd's hooks? And I'm going to get a bunch of them on Christmas Eve and I'm going to hand them out to the
Nice.
kids to keep
So
them quiet."
So they're literally canes.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that before, but they're just like shepherd hooks. Like they're legitimately candy canes.
Yeah.
Like I knew they were shaped like that, but I always thought that there was like a different meaning. Like we hang them on the Christmas tree. I always assumed that they were just like, oh, this just makes sense to make them like these, and then we put them around the pole
And
to
then
let them dry out when we're making them or whatever.
Sure,
But they're
sure.
literally just goes like shape them like canes because I want them to look like a shepherd's hook.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not
That's
know
what the
that.
legend is. And
That's
supposedly
crazy.
the history of it too. So like we're going to go with that story. They were just white and they weren't peppermint flavored either.
Ugh. What were they?
Well, it's just like a sugar stick. I kind
A
of want to
sugar
try
stick
it.
would be dope. Yeah, if
I
it's just a
know,
sugar
right?
stick, I'd be okay with that.
Did you take cookbook chemistry when we were in high school?
Uh-huh.
So you made like a Jolly Rancher, right?
Yeah, made a Jolly Rancher, lit a peanut on fire to try to get the calorie count.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that stuff. Think about what we did for the Jolly Rancher. Just make it like a sugar. That has to be what it is. It's just like probably 3 degrees in a different direction so it doesn't turn clear or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, I want to try just the plain. What is the OG?
Right.
What's the vanilla of candy canes?
Right, dude.
I want to try
know.
that shit.
That's a good question. And I wonder how long it took them to incorporate peppermint, and if peppermint was incorporated just because that was like the in thing at the time, or if it was simply because they were trying to get that color combination right, like your Santa hat. If they're just like, we want red and white, make it happen. And he's like, all right, peppermint is red. So
no, I didn't find that. There was some back and forth about it. And so I didn't get the why the peppermint and the red stripes and stuff like that. There is some back and forth about the red and white, where like the red is supposed to be the blood of Jesus and the white's supposed to be the pureness of Jesus and all this other stuff. But it's all like, you look it up on the internet, right? And it's all debatable. It's all just like back and forth. You don't really get it. So before we get into like what you already said about the cane and the hanging it on the tree and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have a transition there. A segue.
Okay. Yeah.
You have a new beer to that
I
other
do,
beer.
Dude.
Yeah.
I
want to hear about that.
This one I can even say everything that's on here.
Whoa.
Because on the top it says Uberqueel. Uberqueel. All around it. Uberqueel. I'm guessing that's the brand. And this is Bambule. Bambule. And it says it on this weird skull thing.
That skull
like
thing is
crazy
fucking
skull.
creepy, dude.
He's got weird teeth. It says Bambule. It's a Pilsner. And in English even, it says brewed in Hamburg.
Nice.
So,
wow.
Yeah, and it's got like a symbol on its head. That's a symbol, like from a drum kit.
Oh, that kind of symbol.
Yeah.
I was trying to interpret it as like an obscure. Never mind.
Yeah, and this is like, it's like skull and crossbones, but like this. Let's see. This
thing is
bone
fucking
here,
freaky looking. You got to come over. If you're on the MP3 version of this, you got to come over to YouTube and see this fucking can.
Right. This bone's a regular bone here, but as it progresses, that's a horn.
What?
But then this bone is just like the same like zebra pattern as the rest of the skull.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like the teeth are different colored. Like everything's black and white except for some, like there's like the unibrow is like a bunch of different colors. It's the weirdest can I've ever seen. When I pulled this out this morning, because this is the 15th. This is the one I should be drinking today.
Okay.
When I pulled it out this morning, I'm like, jeepers creepers. Like the rest of these look like normal beer cans, you know?
Yeah. That one's
Like
freaky, dude.
they all look like this.
Yeah.
This is the gross from last week.
Oh, yep.
The first
The
Carl.
first girl.
Like everything looks like a beer can still. I haven't had anything weird. And this one's just like, what in the fuck is this
That
thing?
is so weird, dude.
Merry Christmas. A Pilsner. I should like it
How's
though.
it taste? You haven't taken. So here it is. First sip reactions.
Good. I like the first two better. This one's just a little bit hoppier than normal, but it's still
pills
good.
are
It's
a
not
little bit
bad.
stronger for sure.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's still good. There's been a couple that have been like super hoppy, but this one's still my favorite, I think, out of all of them.
Nice.
So the Weizen beer,
Nice.
and I'm going to say it, Winninger. Ooh,
There you go. You got
I was scared saying it.
That was scary.
So you better not fuck this one up.
I'm not editing this. We got a Christmas reading coming up at the end. There's a cliffhanger for you. Okay, Tim.
Yep.
Quick thing on candy canes before we wrap up. We're getting towards the end here. It's about time for our Christmas reading. Little shout out here at the end. America, about the 1850s, the candy cane comes over, gets popular because of some Swedes or some Swiss. Shoot, now I should have written that down. Damn it. Swedes or Swiss. These people start hanging it on their trees because it's convenient to hang that on a Christmas tree. And sure enough, that's it.
See, and that's
Takes
why
off.
I was reverse engineering that the other way.
Right.
I was like, it's on the tree because they made it that way, but instead they made it that way, and then they're just like, convenient. Put them on the tree, and they're perfect. We put them on the tree now.
Right.
Fills in some gaps, crazy? And it's super cheap. You know?
I know, because you get like 12 of them for like $1.99.
Yeah, and then you can like fill in all the gaps. Like, here's my ornaments, and then here's all the gaps between the ornaments.
Yeah.
Plus, I got snacks. You know?
Right. Yeah. Plus, when I'm done recording this podcast, I can walk by the tree, grab a snack. Right.
I've been talking about candy canes all night. Shoop.
Let's fulfill that urge now. Yeah. Yep. It's so crazy to think about, like 1670 in Cologne, Germany, till 2022, hanging on the tree. Like 1850, dude, is when they came over into our part. Like, we weren't even a country yet. Yeah, we were 1776. So I'm way off. Yeah. But anyways, I was like 1870. I got my numbers mixed up. So 1670, in Germany, then 1850s over here. We get someone just decorating a tree with some candy canes, and it just takes off like a rocket.
Nice. It makes total sense. Now I want to dig into when we got like other flavors. When was
the peppermint and stuff like that?
Well, like, when was the candy maker the one that was just like, why are they all mint?
All right, I gotcha. That's really good. Hey, if you find out, let's make a little social media video out of it. I could do that.
Yeah, hit us up.
Before we do that, before we get into discussing other social media videos and wrapping up this podcast, because I don't want to make this a 2-hour podcast like our normal get up is, I want to just say there's a poinsettia drink out there recipe, and it's super jank, dude. It is just 4 ounces of champagne, brut champagne, by the way. It's got to be brut champagne, second driest of all champagnes. And so 4 ounces of brut champagne and 1.5 tablespoons of cranberry juice. You measured out your tablespoons. You took enough of this bitter, sweet juice, and you're just like 1.5 tablespoons. Pour yourself a big old glass of champagne. Put a little bit of bloop, bloop. Ocean spray cranberry juice in there. It's full of sugar. It's full of bitter ass cranberries.
Cane.
And stir it with a candy cane. Boom, you got yourself a poinsettia.
Trying to act like I don't know how to do this drink, but seriously, How is it a point? That's a poinsettia, huh?
I looked it up. I just looked up. I looked up like Christmas recipes, and I think I may have been on poinsettia still. Like it may have still been
Yeah.
in my search bar, and it just popped up, and I was like, "Oh my god, I got to share this." Just hey, a little cranberry juice in your dry champagne.
Right.
If you do it at Christmas time, you call it a poinsettia.
It's like the mimosa's lame Christmas cousin.
Yeah, dude.
Just like a worse champagne with a worse juice. Bloop. It only exists during Christmas time because nobody else would drink this stuff any other time of the year. Are you going to have it at brunch? Is it Christmas time? No. Then no. Get that shit out of here. It is it is, what is it? Oh, I suppose you can input whatever kind of champagne you want when you're talking mimosas.
Oh,
OJ
right. I guess.
and champagne work.
I guess.
Cranberry juice sucks dick. I don't like cranberry juice at all. I don't like any cranberry juice. What am I, a 90-year-old woman with a urinary tract infection? Get the shit out of here.
I think that's prune juice, but still, I think you're right.
No, cranberry juice is the urinary tract infection.
Oh,
prune
right,
juice
right.
helps you
Okay.
shit.
Prune juice is for the poops.
I know
Other
what
all.
you drink juices for. I know about their remedies. And and those are the only reason to drink any of those. Get them out of here. They're garbage.
Oh my god, I love it. Oh, okay. Before we get into our Christmas reading, we are going to do a public domain Christmas reading poem. It's called The Waits. It's a weird name, but you'll see. Jesus is the reason for the season. We're going to do
How you spell that?
Waits.
Okay, that kind of weights. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're talking like a pump you up kind of weights.
Yeah. It's the weights. 'Twas the night before Christmas and we getting that pump.
Getting swole, bro.
Getting swole. Now the creature was stirring. But I was getting those gains.
Okay. I'm gonna try to calm down because I want to end on a serious note. We've donated to the local food shelf here a couple times in my area. And I shouldn't we've donated a few times, and I drove by the other day and I was like, you know what? I don't care that we have, less than 100 people listening to this podcast. Probably. I haven't looked at the analytics lately, but we've been doing pretty good. Thanks everybody. Keep sharing, liking, subscribing and all that stuff. Love you.
Yeah.
That's great. But I drove by the other day and, you know how it gets so dark here so early?
Yes.
So I'm driving by pretty early. Like I'm coming home to have dinner. And there were two kids that couldn't have been older than, 8 and 12 years old in the food shelf. Maybe they were donating food. Maybe they were there to donate food or whatever. And I was just like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's the time of year. It just hit me right. And I was like, yeah, man, your local food shelf. If you can, go donate to your local food shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Money, food, whatever. I know this is the time of year when they usually get full of food, but it's also the time of year when people want and need more food. Just because of the nature of, when you're up here in the north, you need more calories when it's this cold. Shivering takes a lot out of you. But yeah, sure. It just really hit me like, oh man, you know what? I did assume those kids were there because their parent figure was shopping there.
Yeah.
And just if you can, donate to your local food shelf, man. I had that experience not too long ago and I just was like, I gotta say it.
Yeah, for sure. Donate to your local food shelf. Donate to the Red Cross stuff. Donate to the Salvation Army stuff with trying to give gifts and whatnot,
Yeah. Good one on the Red Cross. The storms that are running through right now. You've already heard how many times we're recording this. So if you're paying attention, you already know when we're recording this as the storms are happening. Yeah, that's a good one, Tim. What? You're laughing.
uh,
What did I say?
I can't. I cope with everything with humor, so I can't help
Right,
myself.
right.
And it's just
I
like,
gotcha.
so tonight we had a mom. Well, I wasn't home yet, but my wife said that there was a mom that came to the door with a couple of kids, and they said that they were asking to clear our driveway, and my wife didn't have any cash. Well, she's like, we don't have any money here.
Right.
It's like, I can't. And they're like, no worries, and like kept on their way or whatever. But they were trying to clear our driveway for a little bit of extra cash,
Yeah.
and it's just like, that's a bummer, like we're 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks. Next
No.
weekend is Christmas.
Yeah, I was gonna say this
And it's
launches
like,
the week of Christmas. So happy
yeah,
Christmas week, everybody.
yeah. So it's like, I don't know. And it's just, like, all that stuff is like, if I could help, I definitely would help. Like, I would
Right.
love to hand you a couple, I got a snowblower or whatever. It's like, what were you expecting to get?
Right.
Like $20 and we'll clear your driveway. Here's $20 and get the fuck off my lawn. I'm not heartless like that. Like that randomly popped in my head, but that's
Right.
not what I was laughing about, because I was just thinking about just like paying some lady and getting her out of there. And then like I started laughing to myself, because after, in my head, I'm having this sincere moment of just being like, if I was home and I had some cash, I'd be like, here's this money. And then in my head, like Silk Sonic, this bitch got me paying the rent, paying. But that's what I laughed about, was because that's what happened in my head, like trying to have
Right.
this sincere moment. Like, I can't. It's sad. It sucks. Like
Right.
that.
Yeah,
There's
that's how
people in these
I'm with you.
situations, that are
Yeah.
just like, this lady. It's Christmas next weekend. I don't know what her situation is.
Right.
I don't know if it's just like, we got to get a couple of extra bucks to put some gas in the car because payday is tomorrow and I'm
Right.
out.
Right.
Tomorrow we'll be sitting okay. Tonight I'm not doing so hot,
Right.
and what the deal is. And it's like, I'd love to help.
Right.
I wasn't around. I didn't have no cash. My wife didn't have no cash. You can't just be like, can you just like watch my house and I'll go get, run to the ATM.
Right.
It's
I'm gonna
like,
go to the ATM.
and you can't insult her and be like, I thought we have like quarters in the bedroom we keep in a jar.
Right.
Like,
Right.
just
Right.
like,
Yeah. Like, I'm
that's
not
all
gonna
we
go
had.
dump the change jar into their hand. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you'd like to help, but that shit always sucks, when
It
you hear
does.
about that stuff, that people are struggling and people aren't going to get their Christmases and stuff. And it's just like, it hits even harder when you're talking about like the food shelf and stuff.
Yeah.
When it's like, I'm over here thinking like, oh, people aren't going to have a good Christmas. That's not going to be fun. And, and there's all these people that are, you hear these stories that are just like, oh, the kids aren't, the Biggie says it in his song, like, wondering why Christmas missed us.
Yep.
And it's like, that shit sucks that like these kids don't get to experience that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're able to donate, like you go and donate to the Salvation Army, like the Toys for Tots and stuff, like,
Right.
I don't think those kids know where that stuff's coming from. They
Right.
don't think that they're charity cases. That doesn't just give those kids Christmas, but it doesn't give them that sight of like what Biggie was talking about and many other kids are talking about, where
Right.
they're having that moment of just like, why are my parents buying me Christmas? Like, they don't understand it. They don't have the concept of money.
Right.
All they know is that they didn't get presents and their friends did.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So helping their parents out too, like, dude, that's just gotta suck as a parent to not be able to provide for your kids and stuff. Dude, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I feel bad when my kids, asking for some shit at the store sometimes, and you can't, like, you don't, not can't,
I know.
you don't want to.
And they grab the $8 Lego off the thing, and you're like, no, we're not fucking spending $8 on Legos right now. We got to buy $120 worth of fucking groceries for next week.
Yeah, Christmas is in 2 weeks, you fucking asshole.
And see, that's proof right there. That is how we deal with things that are uncomfortable. We deal with it with humor. But we're going to get into a
And
Christmas
beer.
reading now. Will it be humorous? Probably not. Are
Mm.
we going to be ourselves? Probably not. Are we reading it even? Good question. You're going to have
Who
to
knows?
listen to the rest of the podcast to figure that out. But this is it for me and Tim on the regular holiday special. We're going to close it out here right now. Merry Christmas. All
Merry
that
Christmas.
stuff. Oh, wait. Happy New Year, too, probably. I don't think we'll miss New Year's, but we'll come back in the New Year, do our thing.
Yep.
And here's a little Christmas enjoyment, hopefully.
Merry Christmas.
Break of Christmas Day, through the frosty starlight ringing, faint and sweet and far away comes the sound of children singing, chanting, singing.
Cease to mourn, for Christ is born. Peace and joy to all men bringing.
Careless that the chill winds blow, growing stronger, sweeter, clearer. Noiseless footfalls in the snow, bringing the happy voices nearer. Hear them singing.
Winter's dear, but Christ is here. Mirth and gladness with him bringing. Merry Christmas!
Hear them say, as the east is growing lighter.
May the joy of Christmas Day make your whole year gladder, brighter.
Join their singing.